list of the most popular and gifted golfers in history. Player of the Year in 1971, the self-proclaimed Super Mex won 2 PGA championships, 2 U.S. Opens, and 2 British Opens. A 5-time Barden Trophy winner, Trevino pocketed close to $3.5 million on the Pro Tour. There's another game that involves hitting a ball with a club. It's called baseball, and some native sons have set the standard in that sport, too. In fact, Texas can claim the greatest right-handed hitter of all time. His name, Rogers Hornsby, and he was somewhat eccentric. The guy never went to the movies, and he never read a newspaper. Why? Because he believed it would damage his batting eye. And what a batting eye he had. Hornsby was one of the most feared hitters in baseball history. Beginning in 1920, he leads the National League in hitting 6 straight years. And in one of those years, 1924, he posted an incredible .424 average, best ever by a player in the 20th century. In the entire history of baseball, only Ty Cobb has a lifetime batting average higher than Hornsby's .358. Tris Speaker from Hubbard, Texas, was baseball's ultimate ball hawk. He played in extremely shallow center field, where he specialized in outrunning balls hit over his head. Speaker was also a great hitter. His .344 lifetime average is the 7th highest in history, and his record 793 doubles has stood for over 65 years. Many baseball historians name Speaker to the all-time greatest outfield, along with Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb. One of the finest ball players ever to come from Texas is a man you probably never heard of. He played right field for John McGraw's New York Giants that won back-to-back World Series in 1921 and 22. His name, Ross Pep Youngs.
I think there are 2 reasons why Ross Youngs is largely a forgotten baseball star today. One, of course, is he played long ago as a regular outfielder for the New York Giants between the years of 1918 and 1924. Another is that Ross Youngs died prematurely. His career never reached full maturity. Yet in his last season, when he was healthy, he hit .355. Contemporary respect for Ross Youngs was extremely high. One of his nicknames was Ty Cobb, Jr. Another measure of the high regard in which Ross Youngs was held came from his manager, John McGraw, a very hard man to please. McGraw kept only 2 photos of players in his office. One was the immortal pitcher, Christy Matheson. The other was Ross Youngs. Not only did we largely forget Ross Youngs, but baseball did too for a great many years. Not until 1972 did the Veterans Committee induct Ross Youngs into baseball's Hall of Fame. The tragedy of Young's life was that he was a victim of Bryce disease, a kidney disorder. He died in San Antonio at age 30.
Austinite Bibb Falk went straight from the University of Texas to the Chicago White Sox outfield in 1920, just as Shoeless Joe Jackson was making his exit. In 1924, he batted .352, 3rd best in the American League, and finished with a career average of .312. In his autobiography, Babe Ruth said that a Bibb Falk catch of a line drive in Yankee Stadium was one of the 2 greatest plays he had ever seen. He returned to the University of Texas to take over coaching duties from his mentor, the legendary Billy Dish. Falk became a Texas coaching legend himself. In his 25-year career, the Longhorns won 73% of their games, 20 conference titles, and back-to-back national championships in 1949 and 50. One of Bibb Falk's greatest players was Bobby Lane. He came to the University of Texas on a baseball scholarship, and as a pitcher, he tossed 2 no-hitters and posted a perfect 28-0 record against conference opponents. But it was in football where Lane and his boyhood friend, Doak Walker, earned national acclaim. Their story is the stuff of legend. Bobby Lane and Doak Walker were the golden boys of the 1940s and early 50s. They began as high school teammates at Highland Park in Dallas, where their teams challenged for the state championship in '42 and '43. Lane enters the University of Texas in 1944 and earns consensus all-conference honors as a freshman tailback. The following year, he leads the conference in passing, scoring, and punting. Texas meets Missouri in the 1946 Cotton Bowl. It's Bobby Lane's greatest day. He completes 11 of 12 passes and figures in every point Texas scores. He runs for 3 touchdowns, throws for 2 more, and catches a long pass for another. He also kicks 4 extra points as the Longhorns win it 40-27. Lane is a consensus All-American selection in 1947 and turns pro in 1948 after setting UT passing records that will stand for nearly 4 decades. Lane was phenomenal, but his friend Doak Walker, who played for SMU, became the most celebrated college football player in America. Doak wins the Maxwell Trophy in 47 and the Heisman in 48. His career accomplishments at SMU are astounding. He gains over 2,000 yards rushing and passes for over 1,800 more. He's also among the league leaders in punting average and extra point conversions. He scores 40 touchdowns, averages over 16 yards per catch as a receiver, sets the school record for punt return yardage, even intercepts 12 passes while playing defense. Walker is a 3-time consensus All-American. In 1950, the Detroit Lions draft Doak Walker the same year they acquire a new quarterback, Bobby Lane. Walker called it a teenage dream come true. In his rookie season, Walker scores 128 points to lead the NFL. That same year, Lane leads the league in completed passes and passing yardage. His 26 touchdown passes in 1951 is best in the NFL and sets a team record that has never been broken. Then in 1952, Lane and Walker take Detroit all the way to the NFL championship. And they do it again in 1953. Together, the Texas tandem reached the very pinnacle of their sport. And forever, they will be remembered as 2 of the game's immortals, both enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. From the time they were schoolboys, Lane and Walker were destined for greatness and fame. But sometimes a legend is born out of a single heroic losing battle. Such is the case of Kyle Rote, Walker's teammate at SMU. December the 3rd, 1949, number 1 ranked Notre Dame invades Dallas to face SMU in the season finale. Riding a string of 38 games without a loss, Coach Frank Leahy's Fighting Irish are seeking their 3rd national championship in 4 years. SMU is a 28-point underdog. And to make matters worse, All-American senior Doak Walker is sidelined with an injury. His replacement at tailback is Kyle Rote. SMU puts up a surprisingly good fight, but trails at halftime 13-0. In the thrilling second half, Rote gets the Mustangs rolling. Playing catch-up football, he seems to be everywhere on the field, running, passing, and punting. Late in the 4th quarter, the Irish take a 27-20 lead, but the battle-weary Mustangs fight back. Rote leads a heart-stopping drive that takes them all the way to the Notre Dame 4-yard line. But that's where the heroic march ends as time expires on the clock. SMU didn't pull off the upset of the century, but came mighty close in a game that will never be forgotten. Rote stats for the day: 3 touchdowns, 115 yards rushing, 146 yards passing, and a 48-yard average on punts. SMU was losing Doak Walker, but there was consolation in the fact that Kyle Rote was waiting in the wings. January the 2nd, 1922, a famous Texas A&M tradition is born when King Gill is called out of the stands to suit up for the Aggies in the Dallas-Dixie Bowl clash with Centre College. Today, a statue honoring the 12th man stands on the Texas A&M campus, just as all loyal Aggies stand throughout every game to show their readiness to help the team. January the 1st, 1954, another 12th man legend is born. It's the 18th Cotton Bowl Classic. Coach Jess Neely's Rice Owls face the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama is led by quarterback Bart Starr, but the real star of the day is scatback Dickie Magle of Rice. He gains 265 yards on the ground, including touchdown runs of 79, 95, and 34 yards. But one of his touchdowns occurs on what is perhaps the strangest play in college football history. Magle takes the ball on his own 5, flashes across the line of scrimmage, and breaks free along the sideline. Then it happens. Suddenly, Magle is sprawling on the ground. Since no one on the field of play was going to stop Magle, Alabama team captain Tommy Lewis decided to do it himself. There was only one problem. Lewis wasn't in the game at the time. Of course, Lewis's impulsive off-the-bench tackle was illegal. Magel was awarded a 95-yard touchdown, and Rice went on to win the game 28-6. January the 1st, 1957. The Cotton Bowl stages a battle of the Titans. The great Jimmy Brown and the Syracuse Orangemen faced the TCU Horned Frogs, led by All-American halfback Jim Swink. In only 8 games, Brown had gained 986 yards and scored an average of 2 touchdowns per game. Swink, in his career, had gained more yards rushing than anyone in Southwest Conference history. The game is a classic. Although Swink is limited to 41 yards on the ground, he catches a 30-yard pass to set up a key touchdown, which he also scores on this run from the 3-yard line. Jimmy Brown played one of his greatest games. He scores 3 touchdowns, kicks 3 extra points, and gains 132 yards carrying the ball. The difference in the game turns out to be this play. The unlikely hero is second-string in Chico Mendoza, who charges in to make a great block on the extra point attempt by Brown. TCU wins a thriller, 28-27. 1957 is also the year that a young coach began his legendary career at the University of Texas. His name, Darrell Royal, and he built a dynasty playing smart, solid, conservative football. That meant, among other things, he didn't much care for the forward pass. His teams enjoyed enormous success featuring consistently outstanding rushing attacks. It's ironic, then, that the defining moment of his coaching career and the play for which he is best remembered is a daring 4th down pass with the national championship on the line. December the 6th, 1969, the big shootout. Darrell Royal's undefeated Texas Longhorns, ranked number 1 in the nation, meet Frank Broyles' undefeated Arkansas Razorbacks, ranked number 2. It's the last day of the season of college football centennial year, and this one's for all the marbles. The Razorbacks hold a 14-8 lead late in the 4th quarter. The game is on the line as the Longhorns face a crucial 4th down and 3 at their own 43-yard line. Coach Royal sends in an unexpected play. Quarterback James Street fakes a handoff, drops back, fires a long one, and tight end Randy Peschel hauls it in at the 13-yard line. A few plays later, Jim Bertelsen plows into the end zone to tie the score at 14. Happy Feller's conversion is the difference. The Texas Longhorns win the game of the century 15-14.
That proves you deserve to be number 1, and that's what you are. Yeah!
That unforgettable victory over Arkansas gave Darrell Royal and the Longhorns their 2nd national championship. It was also the team's 19th win in a row. Texas would notch its 3rd national title the following year, and the streak would reach 30 straight wins before it would end. 3 national championships, a 30-game winning streak. Great accomplishments, but they don't begin to tell the whole story of the success that Darrell Royal had at the University of Texas. During the 20 years of the Darrell Royal era at Texas, no team in the nation had a better record. 11 times his teams finished among the top 10 in the nation. There were 11 Southwest Conference championships and 16 postseason bowl appearances. His 6 straight conference titles and 6 straight Cotton Bowl trips from 1968 to 1972 were league records. Royal never had a losing season at UT, and he won more conference games than any coach in league history. While Darrell Royal was building a gridiron colossus in Austin, something unexpected was happening in other parts of the state. Texas teams started winning big basketball games. In 1966, a small college in El Paso beat the biggest of the big-time basketball schools in the biggest game of the year. The Texas Western Miners, now the University of Texas at El Paso, shocked the nation when they beat the Kentucky Wildcats to win the 1966 NCAA championship. It was an unlikely matchup. Here was Kentucky coach Adolph Rupp, the legend. His Wildcats ranked number 1, seeking their record 5th national title, and every player on the team was white. Here was Miners coach Don Haskins, a young upstart, leading a no-name school from the basketball backwaters of Texas with a starting lineup of inner-city blacks. The game did not go according to script. The Miners, led on the floor by 5'9" spark plug Bobby Joe Hill, forced 18 Kentucky turnovers. and totally dominated the game. Final score, 72-65. It was the last time an all-white segregated team mounted a serious challenge for the NCAA title.